Bitcoin dodging Doge as Doge dodges bit by bit, a marketplace of currencies on the Bitcoin standard. In a previous video, we talked about the potential positive in the rollout of blockchains and cryptocurrencies and assets outside the Bitcoin blockchain. And we premised the success of this turning of the financial system, economy, and life right side up on the absence of government and state intervention. Because, as Safety Now most correctly identifies in his book, The Bitcoin Standard, blockchains with owners and central offices can be pressured, compromised, and hijacked back into the system the entire crypto space is supposed to be against, and in fact, is the reason why it developed and evolved in the first place, because the global financial system is rigged and premised on unsound money. Multiple blockchains exist outside Bitcoin. None, however, enjoy the unique quality of decentralization and immutability Bitcoin has. This, however, doesn't cancel or prevent alternative blockchains with the development of various tokens and altcoins from having some contribution in this space that can remain within the movement Bitcoin ruled out. But certainly, there might be a lot more noise, thus accelerating entropy and increasing redundancy that exists in the blockchain world and metaverse. This is especially inevitable given we've been raised and bred in an environment funded by unsound money. Hence, it is no surprise for the marketplace to be filled with gamblers, hucksters, frivolity, mediocrity, and downright lunacy. Remember, the more control, the more out of control, and we've been bred to control. Indeed, lunatic and crazy have become norm and normal. In this video, we tackle a popular coin, which seems to capture the level of this lunacy, and we place it against its reverse or opposite. Is Bitcoin dodging Doge as Doge dodges bit by bit in a marketplace of currencies on the Bitcoin standard? Is the joke on me for even attempting an analysis? But I'm supposed to be a non-lefty intellectual, so this certainly should be right up my alley. But I'm also oft with the unpopular fringe, naturally repelled by almost anything that becomes popular. Bitcoin is different, however, as it truly will always be unpopular and fringe given the almost inevitable threat of government and state intervention. But could I be missing something here about Doge? Are there more similarities between Bitcoin and Dogecoin, only in some kind of reverse? Is Dogecoin the cryptocurrency which is actually most like Bitcoin? Both grew in use and popularity unexpectedly and quietly, until the mainstream, of course, started taking notice, but still remaining within the universe of the fringe. They're both still enemies and threats to the institutionalized mainstream. Difference is, Bitcoin was created as money and Doge was, well, but a joke. Satoshi Nakamoto seemed bent on making sure the world knew the true purpose of Bitcoin when he embedded these words in the Bitcoin Genesis block. The Times, January 3, 2009. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. It was in reference to the Times headline at that time, and it seemed Satoshi created Bitcoin as an alternative to the financial system, which he believed problematic, with the choice of brink, identifying key players, with the word choices chancellor, and banks, alluding to the cozy relationship between government and financial industry, and the system they created, enabling a bailout, which happens often enough as it is on the brink of a second. On January 9, 2009, the open-source Bitcoin client was released, hosted at SourceForge. One of its first supporters, Hal Finney, downloaded the software and was the recipient of the first ever Bitcoin transaction, 10 Bitcoins from Satoshi Nakamoto. Meanwhile, we have the less serious and more fun narrative of Dogecoin. Jackson Palmer, average geek Australian marketer for one of the world's largest tech companies, took aim at Bitcoin and the world of cryptos by tweeting, "Investing in Dogecoin, pretty sure it's the next big thing." To his surprise, the tweet generated so much attention. Palmer decided he wanted to continue having fun and went on with a joke. He bought the Dogecoin.com domain and uploaded a Shiba on a coin with a note on the site. If you want to make Dogecoin a reality, get in touch. Somewhere in the UK, a video game-obsessed software engineer at IBM took his own aim at the crypto world. Like Palmer, he too wanted to have some fun. he created his own cryptocurrency called Bells, named after currency in Nintendo's Animal Crossing. But unlike BTC's proof-of-work consistent reward system, Bells was random. You never knew if you would get any or if it would be 1 bell or 500 bells. But unlike Palmer's coin proposal, the cryptocurrency community didn't get the joke and didn't like bells. As opposed to Bitcoin's 21 million, made them easier to mine, changed the font to Comic Sans, and changed every mention of the word mine to dig, because dogs don't mine, they dig. Reddit users loved it and started sharing Dogecoin back and forth constantly, expanding its user base and increasing its value. In 2014, Palmer and Marcus attached a more humanitarian aspect to Doge when they successfully raised funds for Jamaica's bobsled team to compete in the Winter Olympics. They also raised enough funds to build water wells in Kenya, as well as funds to help train assistance dogs for autistic children. But as the community grew, Palmer and Marcus began clashing with the members of the community who were beginning to look at Doge as wealth opportunity and hedge. In their view, Dogecoin was a silly thing that should remain silly. Eventually, both founders bailed out on the coin and today remain crypto skeptics. But there may be more to this than meets the eye. This seemingly large disparity in seriousness, practical opposites, may shed more light into some sort of congruence or kinship between the coins. For starters, both are products of human design, with a collaborative element that brought each into fruition. Satoshi and Finney, unassumingly in the specialized technical fringe realm of cryptography. Palmer and Marcus in the rebellious fringe world of Reddit. Both coins were given as tips and rewards within their worlds and groups, and while both were products of human design, they were also a natural and organic consequence to an environment of human-created parameters and controls. Thus, one can argue, at the core, both coins were natural creations, which organically grew. Bitcoin was created by its founder Satoshi Nakamoto as a purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash, without going through a financial institution. Dogecoin.com defines Doge as an open-source peer-to-peer digital currency. One is cash and the other currency. And here, once again, we see a slight but possibly significant deviation, where the former is cash, defined by an online dictionary as money, and the latter currency, a system of money in general use in a particular country, or the fact or quality of being generally accepted or in use. One can argue it's mere semantics, but there might be more to this random and accidental semantic difference that could have extended from the intended purpose of each, a serious proposition for an alternative financial system and a joke, but both reactions to and consequences of the contrived and controlled money system. Contrary to popular belief, Bitcoin hints at an intrinsic value, while Doge, like all other altcoins, does not. For the simple reason, only Bitcoin truly has the fourth characteristic of money, non-counterfeitability. Bitcoin is unique as it has one characteristic that no other coin has, immutability. This unique characteristic, precisely because it is unique, gives Bitcoin a naturally created and evolved intrinsic value, while other blockchains and all altcoins built on top are merely tamper-evident, meaning you can't change something without anyone noticing. But there is a higher security standard which only Bitcoin is, tamper-proof, because of its proof-of-work consensus algorithm, which in turn makes it immutable. Anyone with decent enough coding skills can change code, but Satoshi and Hal Finney were smart enough to ensure the near impossibility of successfully carrying this out by grounding the Bitcoin system in sound economics, specifically in the difficulty of getting every member of the network to adopt the same changes to the software. By ensuring that finding the solution to the mathematical problem consumes large quantities of processing power and electricity, the incentive to not include any invalid transactions in the blocks to receive the block reward makes the cost of writing block extremely high and the cost of verifying its validity extremely low. Thus, we can argue Bitcoin might have some intrinsic value as it actually uses something of value, energy, when it converts electricity to truthful records through the expenditure of processing power, and it is the only one that can make this claim. Moreover, it is the only cryptocurrency and blockchain of its kind that ever will be because it has done it already and it was able to do it at a time when nobody cared to see, look, notice, or because in its early days the network had little economic value. The value of Bitcoin is entirely dependent on the integrity of the network, which is in the best interest of its miners to maintain. It is their lifeblood. And after a decade, any attempt to compromise or attack has simply become too expensive. To add, the effort to carry out an attack, change, or compromise the system renders the attacker's loot worthless. Satoshi ensured BTC's failure would benefit neither the attacker nor the groups and individuals maintaining the Bitcoin ecosystem. I stress, it is the only one of its kind and it will always be the only one for the simple reason it already happened. The very context of its creation and the manner in which it proceeded ensured its immutability, and it is the only one that ever will be. It thus makes sense to refer to Bitcoin as money and Doge, as well as all the other alts, as currency, a system of money in general used in a particular country, community, system, or group, or the fact or quality of being generally accepted or in use. While Bitcoin is also a consequence of general acceptance, its achievement of immutability and the uniqueness of this quality has given it an intrinsic value, which cements this general acceptance into permanence. Bitcoin is anti-fragile. According to Andreas Antonopoulos, Bitcoin is nimble and robust, with the immune system of a sewer rat, and so Bitcoin dodged, avoided by a sudden quick movement, the Doge, a sudden quick movement to avoid in Doge, the popular meme coin. Palmer and Marcus took aim at Bitcoin in order to, in a sense, avoid the seriousness of its cause and purpose. Bitcoin was simply too quick and done. It had dodged even before the aim. Perhaps what Palmer and Marcus really wanted to hit was the phenomenon of bubble creation, prevalent in the crypto world and traditional finance, and not the seriousness which, upon closer look, is actually an endearing quality of Bitcoin, in sync with the original concerns of Doge's founders. They didn't need to poke fun at Bitcoin and even the alts if they understood the underlying effect of the phenomenon of the money creation enterprise, that the crypto blockchain world was simply reeling from the fake magic money system of traditional finance. Bitcoin launched a kind of perpetual real-time demonstration and experience of the silliness of the almost century-old financial system. Altcoins don't fret. As Andreas Antonopoulos says, money is language human beings created to express value to each other. It isn't value but an expression of value. So, there definitely can be and certainly is space for the development of various expressions. Bitcoin merely beat all to immutability, and there can never be one like it for the simple reason it already happened in all its unassumingness when no one bothered or cared to look. Yes, it is true. Altcoins are companies and thus aren't truly decentralized. Safety Namus believes the concentration of currency holding, processing power, and programming skills in the hands of one group of people who are effectively partners in a venture defeats the entire purpose of employing a blockchain structure. And should the currencies appreciate significantly, a small team of creators become extremely rich, gaining power and roles reserved for nation-states. In addition, it would be relatively easy for central banks to get any of the teams behind this currency to destroy it or alter its operation. Unlike Bitcoin, altcoins aren't immutable, nor are they tamper-proof. And while efforts such as the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, or DAO, are attempting to precisely bring centralization to the fore, Without active management by a team of developers and marketers, no digital currency will attract any attention or capital in a sea of thousands of currencies and still growing. The need for management is inevitable, but as Amu says, the re-injection of subjective human management is at odds with the objective of making code into law and questions the entire rationale of smart contracts, of which these DAOs are based. Unlike Bitcoin, which quietly and unassumingly grew in the wilds without any authority controlling it, altcoins have had the unfortunate reality of Bitcoin's immutability as fast and achieved, growing even more with time, which is anathema to a project that wants to demonstrate credible commitment to a fixed monetary policy. Reality is, Bitcoin is the only truly market-based security model that is immutable and tamper-proof. While it was originally a product of rational human design by Satoshi, its growth and development was and has been organic and spontaneous, a product of human action versus human design, having no office, board, owners, or any centralized authority except the collective economic incentive locked onto the goal of maintaining the network's integrity. Nonetheless, I say altcoins do not fret. All this merely means Bitcoin is the only one, the unique standard, which poses as a reminder to all of calling a spade and to remember why any altcoin came to be in the first place, as this can be easily lost in this space. Even if only Bitcoin is immutable, its immutability has given all altcoins and future altcoins a standard by which to premise their potential solutions. The Bitcoin standard allows anyone access to a moral compass without actually moralizing. Bitcoin captured natural law into a tangible system, token, and store of value, fueling disruption and reverse in communication. Bitcoin already secured immutability, and it would be pointless and even a waste of time and resources for others to do the same. As Andreas Antonopoulos says, for other blockchains, DAOs, and dApps, governance, how you take funds and manage them, how you take the energy of a community and manage it, how you reinvent the corporation, is the killer app. Bitcoin already killed unsound money. It's time to find other things to kill. To be fair though, altcoins such as Ethereum, the number 2, aren't competing with Bitcoin. It seems Satoshi was well informed and might have predicted the coming blockchain world, which certainly easily enables and creates 1984, further entrenching surveillance and the continued creation and inflation of bubbles. Satoshi seems to have given us big leverage over blockchain, serving as the single one that cannot be touched. In addition, the hedge against bubbles posed by the alts. And Doge might just be this leverage and hedge in reverse of Bitcoin's seriousness. Indeed, it reminds us we can also have fun in the plight of the fight against the conflation of money with currency, blockchain with database, and human action with human design. The meme typically consists of a picture of a Shiba Inu dog accompanied by multicolored text and Comic Sans font in the foreground. The text, representing a kind of internal monologue, is deliberately written in a form of broken English. Dogecoin might actually have a case for immutability without actually being immutable. It seems Bitcoin is dodging Doge, as Doge might be dodging the alts and Bitcoin bit by bit. If Doge does become a popular currency, it will merely be getting on with the same joke as fiat. Only this time it would have a standard, Bitcoin, to keep the fun clean, reminding us of the constant danger of the financial system possibly going to the dogs, as we human beings tend to be quite forgetful. A meme coin based on a dog poses as a good reminder for us to not go to the dogs. Or perhaps I'm deluded here, trying to make sense where only lunacy is. Perhaps we truly have gone to the dogs. Thing is, global finance has been with the dogs for almost a century. Could Doge instead be the natural consequence of accelerated entropy, screaming at us to put a stop at the out-of-control acceleration? Are we too dumbed down given the explosion of various other memes, and we haven't even begun discussion of those NFTs? Is Doge the token, the abstraction of accelerated entropy? Is Bitcoin dodging Doge as Doge dodges bit by bit in a marketplace of currencies on the Bitcoin standard? And will we continue to dodge the lunacy of the magic money machine? Or finally come back and return from the dogs? Are we immune?